Here we are at TU-Automotive Detroit, and I'm being joined here by Schumacher, globally responsible for customer programs at ADAS with Continental Automotive. Hi Christian, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, it's a pleasure.
Can I first start with a little outline about what you do within the organisation?
Yeah, with customer programs, I'm responsible for all customer activities in the field of advanced driver assistance systems for Continental. That means we support the sales activities, the project management, program management, everything that has to do globally with all the customers we have, but with pretty much everybody in the world.
And looking in the next few years, what are the big opportunities for your organisation within ADAS?
ADAS itself, Advanced Driver Assistance, is a very fast-growing business unit in Continental. And if you look at the overall growth of this technology in the world, we have a very, very steep curve. What we see definitely is that we grow much faster than we have seen in the past with systems like electronic stability control. Today already a lot of cars, obviously started in the higher classes, have advanced driver assistance systems. Here we're talking about systems like adaptive cruise control, collision mitigation, lane departure warning, blind spot monitoring. But we see the penetration down in the B/A class is happening very fast with pretty much all the OEMs. So the biggest challenge currently we have is the growth. But we see that very positive at Continental because we believe that ADAS is one of the cornerstones for our so-called Vision Zero. And Vision Zero reflects basically zero fatalities, somewhere in the future then zero injuries or zero even accidents with cars, because we still believe that there are too many people currently dying in car accidents today.
But then I've seen this debated before, that some people say that ADAS is in the wrong vehicles. It's in the vehicles with skilled, experienced drivers, and it isn't in the vehicles where it needs to be, which is entry-level kids who are the prime problem with car crashes today. How is that challenge going to be met?
The statement in general is correct if you're looking at the past, but why is that the case? Because usually innovation is driven more by the high-segmented car, the luxury cars, where we introduce our radar technology, camera technology, LiDAR technology in the first place. Nevertheless, we see a very fast development in the area that, as I tried to explain before, is now going down in the middle class and lower end cars. We already have technologies today, like you saw several years introduced in Volvo City Safety, a very, very price competitive sensor, short range LiDAR that is introduced in a lot of cars in Europe and the Asian market, especially to penetrate, let's say, the entry-level cars. It's in our interest because at the end of the day, safety is for everybody, and you said it. It is not acceptable that only the high-end cars will get all these features. But as I said, we have a high penetration rate already today with basically all the OEMs where it's going into the lower-end cars with features like lane departure warning or blind spot monitoring.
And this technology, will it stand the test of time? Is it robust enough to work its way down through second-hand cars to the entry-level driver? By the time he or she gets that car, it could be a decade old. Do you think that the quality of ADAS equipment we're doing today will survive that 10 years intact and be just as effective?
I believe yes, because we spent a major amount of our development in validation and verification. And that's basically where you can see the development time is highly depending on. Developing the feature itself to make it functional in a, let's say, safe environment is fairly easy. Nevertheless, obviously, as you said, the testing in the real world environment and even make sure it works for years, that is where the time is invested, and that's why we're trying really thoroughly to go through this test. We have huge validation plans to ensure exactly what you're looking for, that this technology is not just, let's say, functional for a year, 2, 3 years, but even if you have used cars in the market in the future.
Excellent. And looking to the future, 10, 20 years' time, where do you think your organisation, your part of the industry, where will it be? Where will it be achieving?
We definitely see today a transition from advanced driver assistance, but obviously, like the name is saying, it assists the driver in his driving test to automated driving. It's happening. The question is when. It's not so much if it is happening. We all are convinced that automated driving will happen in the future. If you're looking at Continental, we have kind of a 3-step approach that we foresee. We see the so-called partially automated driving in 2016, and we'll come back to what it really means. Something like more highly automated driving in 2020, and the fully automated driving, or what most people would call maybe self-driving cars in maybe 2025 timeframe. But the difference when you're looking at the naming convention is really how much the driver is still involved in the driving test. If you're looking at partial automated driving, we're talking about systems where the driver can take off the hands of the wheel for a certain amount of time, but still has to be very much ensured that he's in control. Here we're talking about features like traffic jam assist, for example, where you're in a traffic jam, the car is doing the longitudinal control, that means the adaptive cruise control, the lateral control, so in this case lane keeping. But nevertheless, the driver has not to do the driving, but he's still in control. That means if the system figures out that there is a challenging situation, the driver has to take over. If you're looking at the highly automated driving, as I said 2020, there basically the difference is that we give the driver more time to react. That means the system is more developed in a way that the fail-safe, everything is in place, that the system is capable of having a longer time duration in control if it figures out that there's a situation that is very challenging. In this case, the driver has more time to take over. And if you're looking in 2025, the fully automated driving, in this case, we have to ensure that the system is totally capable of handling the situation, but we have to be sure that we understand what it means handling the situation. Handling the situation means, in this case, that the car can go over into a safe state. That means it cannot be able maybe of handling all the situation by driving through them, but if the system decides it can't drive through the situation, it at least has, as an example, pull over to the side, make sure it's out of the traffic, it's safe, and it can stop the car. So these are kind of the steps we're seeing out there. If I'm going further out there, you said maybe 20 years, 2035. Hopefully at this time we have a lot of automated cars out there. The reason why we push so much for it, one part is convenience, but as I tried to highlight too, Continental strongly believes in the safety aspect, and we believe that automated driving is getting us to the next level of safety. That means it definitely reduces the fatalities. I'm very positive with this one.
Excellent. And finally, an event such as TU-Automotive,
Yes.
Detroit, what does this mean to you and your organization? What's the benefit?
I'm personally very excited to be here because it's kind of a unique venue. If you're considering that you, as far as I saw, have over 3,000 attendees here, you have 150 speakers. So basically you have the who is who in the connectivity automated driving here to present and to exchange. And for me this networking is very important because we are in a time of change in the automotive industry. We see a lot of influences from the consumer electronic parts. We see a lot of key players from the consumer electronic parts now going towards the automotive industry. And I personally see that as a positive trend because people bring consumer electronics in the car, but the car was very mechanical years ago with electronics. Now we see more and more electronics coming into the car. In this case, these two industries are melting together. We in the automotive industry obviously have the experience in creating safe cars. That means we talked about the validation, making sure the car is safe to drive on the roads. Consumer electronics brings in the brain power, the computing power from the outside, the data handling, the cloud handling and all this. And I think as this is merging, it's very important to have venues like this, conferences like this to exchange information, to see what's going on between the two industries, how do they morph together at the end of the day maybe, and on the other side to have people from the government, people from insurance institutes, because everybody has to work together to make these technologies available and make them safe. And at the end of the day, what we want is safe cars.
Thank you for joining us.
You're very welcome.